Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Zeesy Powers, and this show is, I think for many people, the appeal of this is the fantasy of, perhaps revenge is the word, the kind of revenge you can get from telling someone exactly what you think of them and being able to do it, sort of getting a, I get to do this, get out of jail free sort of card idea with it. And the reality is really not like that. Nobody gets a free pass in life. So instead, tonight, for those of you who are willing, I will tell you exactly what I think of you and do it without any satisfaction of revenge. Because because those moments only happen in real life, and tonight is a performance. If anybody's interested, they're welcome to take this seat. Just please stop at my assistant Maya over here, and she will take care of the contract. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to read it over yet or not. But as I was told once by a lawyer, a contract is just a piece of paper. Please. Okay, cool. Your tattoo looks real. And it's a really interesting choice that you've gone with. I forget the actual technical term for it, and I'm not sure if the audience at home can see it or not, but I think it's the F hole from a stringed instrument, particularly a violin or a cello. And to put it on your face it's any facial tattoo in, I guess, our mainstream Western culture is really intense. And it's not coming from let's say, like a tribal tradition of, like, there's a tribe where everybody puts the F hole. It's possible that there is, but this would be quite contemporary in terms of this time scale of how those things go. But the funniest part is that before you sat across from me here, when you were only sort of a shadow person in the light, in my mind I was like, oh, we have like a really kind of like straight jock type who's going to come up. What am I going to say to this really straight jock type? Which, I mean, aside from even more than the tattoos, like the necklaces seem very sensitive. Like, you do seem like a really classic, this is a really condescending way to put it, but like a reformed hobo. Which is, I mean, that's an interesting type, right? Like, you're somebody who's probably spent a lot of time as a traveler kid, and you're an adult now, like a real no going back adult. Like, any kind of second childhood you have will be a midlife crisis, which, possibly even in the like expensive car with doors that open like wings kind of sense. Who knows? I wouldn't put it past you at all. Aside from the tattoos, you really do present as a really kind of like straight adult. It's weird. I've never seen you in my life before, and if I have, I don't remember. You totally seem like it's very weird, but you seem really together. Like, a lot of the time also, less so women, but men with facial tattoos tend to have a really intense hostile air to them. But if you had that at one point, which as a traveler kid, it's possible, that's pretty common among, 19-year-old hobo males, you don't have that intense rage energy. You seem really chill and grown up. It's very funny. I mean, you also seem comfortable in yourself, right? Like, when people choose to have a facial tattoo, that's a step up from a neck tattoo. Like, it's a really, at some point you made a choice to like never go back to straight society. But contradictorily, it's you present better way to put it. You present an interesting paradox of somebody who's made that choice and seems like weirdly to be kind of like seamlessly transitioning into just kind of just an adult, right? I mean, I have no idea what you do now, but like if you told me you had a white-collar job, I wouldn't be surprised, right? Or that you were like the boss of something, which is also weird. Like, it's that funny. This is also my judgments about traveler kids, right? Like, I love traveler kids actually a lot, and it's to me it's funny. Like, traveler kids, most of them are coming from a place of like wanting to escape, the romance of being free. I mean, anarchists, right? And really making like a real steps to that, not just kind of like baby steps of like fuck the police, but actually living that life. And then taking that extra step of facial tattoos. Hand tattoos, I mean, you're old enough that the hand tattoos were probably a huge statement when you did them, and they look like you either did them yourself or a friend did them for you. Things are different now. Like, all kinds of people have tattoos on their hands, and it means nothing. So that's also, I mean, and now I'm talking about you in the broader, just sort of like what you represent as like a type. You very much seem like somebody who, part of the reason you seem so straight to me is that all these things of this like really like truly rebellious traveler kid culture, hobo culture, have been so thoroughly co-opted by mainstream society that you can sit here in front of me as like somebody over 30 and look pretty, you know, like, show me your CV. I would hire you. Like, I have no doubt that you'd like show up for responsibilities that you were interested in, which is weird. Part of me, like the 16-year-old part of me, is like dying inside, but then the adult part of me is like, that's just life. Like, that's just life. Isn't it better to have people who like understand what freedom is, to be in charge of things? But I don't really know. I'm not that experienced with life. This is what I meant to say about traveler kids. They're all coming from a place of really wanting to live their ideals of freedom. Some of them never get over the rage, but a lot of them just really needed to escape and live something really intense that was their choice, that wasn't put on them. And to choose to be a traveler is a really intense choice. But for the people who are able to put their rage behind them, they also tend to be very capable and intelligent people, right? I mean, so it's not, yeah, it's very funny. It's also like, your tattoos are really clearly also traveler kid tattoos. They're not gang tattoos. Like, it's possible that there's some of that, but none of it to me reads as like a classic, you know, like you don't have, you know, like the script, like really fancy script over your eyebrows, or like this one is really like, it reads as a tear, but it's not the classic jailhouse tear. So it's very, yeah, like there's nothing violent coming out of you, right? You seem really chill. You were probably one of those traveler kids who had like a cat, even, not even a dog. Like, you know, like one of those traveler kids whose cat just lived on their shoulder or something. You could have had a dog too. I mean, maybe when you were younger, you were really kind of like, maybe you were like a really gentle kind of kid, and therefore like actually on the rails a bit more of a target. So I could see you with a dog, but you would have been really, all hobos are kind to their dogs, you know. Like, otherwise the dog would, well, who knows? I mean, actually, people stick around with all kinds of stuff, but I don't think you're one of those sketchy ones. I think you would, you know, you were probably very kind to your animals. And of course, like most travelers, like some kind of a poet or an artist. The necklaces speak more to that than the tattoos, although you clearly love to play. If it's a fiddle or a cello or something, like you have a very intense connection to that, to really put it out there like that. It's also interesting that you only did one side and not both, because on a violin, there's two, but you just went with one. And I'm not sure why, but it's interesting because if you had both, I might not have, even though that's more accurate, I might not have read it as an F hole. I may have actually just been like, oh, a tribal tattoo, which is funny for me. I'm projecting, though, into like possibilities of what you'd look like with that other F hole on your face. Yeah, even like the ones on your hand, it's like the question mark is like Wi-Fi coming out there. And the other one, it's an exclamation point. It's not a quick, will you show me? Yeah, the other one's an exclamation point. It's not a question mark. And the exclamation point really does look like the symbol for wireless signal, which I don't know if was even a thing when you got that done, but it is now. This ad space is for sale. Yeah, like you were probably like a really cool teenager, and you seem like a cool adult, just also who's made really intense choices that you also seem fine with. Like, I think if you weren't fine with your intense choices, you'd be a wreck right now. And I think like making it to, like a theater at like a building sponsored by BMO would be like not even in like the realm of things that were happening right now. That was, yeah. Thank you so much for coming up. That was really like, yeah. I think you're really cool. That was a really nice one. I hope that the rest of you will bring me on a journey like that. It always works that way. Hello.
Hello.
So, okay, where do we go? It's almost like you're living on another planet. Like, you're also somebody who has this like weirdly, like you seem like somebody who's like really straight in the sense that like an elementary school teacher, like you totally seem like somebody who's like holding it down in some way or other, but you're also obviously a total weirdo, right? Like you've covered up the label on your sneakers, like regardless of whether or not they're Converse, like it's covered, they are, but the label's covered up. Like you haven't even bought the black spots. You're like, I stole these and I'm gonna cover them up with duct tape, who cares? Like you're really put together, and you could totally be somebody with like a super straight job, but you have that kind of like, even as you're sitting down, it's like, I'm reading Octavia Butler's Wild Seed right now, which is a book that came out in the 80s, so she was writing it in the 70s, and it's a really intense, like, I've read her other sci-fi before, but this one is getting to some really weird and very, for me, unsettling kind of dealing with a lot of issues of like genetics and things like that. So like your phenotype is of somebody who's really just kind of like, yeah, like you're like a halfway not on this planet, like, but not in a, like you're not completely out to lunch, like you're here, and then just sometimes it's a little bit like, and then back. It's very funny. I'm talking, and you're like you have a good sense of humor. You get jokes. You came up on stage, but it's really funny. But that's maybe also the classic elementary school teacher stereotype too. Like they're all a little loopy and kooky and out to lunch in that way that. And you recognize this about yourself. I don't think you've ever not known this, and it's kind of nice that you haven't forgotten it, because you do seem like somebody who's also an adult, right? Like you're not 21 years old. You're not 15 years old. You're an adult. And it's funny because those qualities that come with being sort of a kooky person that elementary school teachers tend to have, high school teachers too, but elementary school is where the real weirdos tend to live, is that the gifts that you have to share with other people are not easily commodified or quantifiable. So of course you're not going to fit in to an entrepreneurial-based system, right? Because you're not like the innovative things you bring are not necessarily things that can be packaged or measured. Because also like you're super kooky and like in certain respects completely unreliable, I'm sure, even though like you probably, whatever you need to do, you do it and you know how to do it and you're fine. That's like your skill set. There's just like maybe this whole like box of stuff where it's like, how are you not able to do that? At the same time, that's all I'm really talking about myself, by the way. I'm talking about everybody, but I'm also talking about me. I recognize too that I am completely out to lunch when it comes to some really basic life things. That's a basic human thing that like, even though like, yes, there's something wrong with you, that's the same thing that's wrong with all of us, just like in different sections of that spectrum that we all kind of fall into. but it's like, whereas I think you're friends, whereas your friend had to write it on his face, like you were just born with that kind of like, woo. I'm sure like when you were a kid, your parents and teachers would be like, she's just like head in the clouds. Like some people can hide it, and you can't even hide it. No, you can't. You've embraced it, but you can't hide it. Like even if you wanted to at this point, I don't think you could hide it. Cool, but also like, you can't hide that. You're just like, But it's also like, I like you because of that. I'm sure that's why the people who love you especially love that about you, so. Whoa, intense. You guys are so intense. Yeah, thank you. For me, this is a particularly intense show to do. Often I'm fortunate enough, sorry, to be making clicking noises for viewers at home. For me, this is a very intense show because I'm often, especially, this is a pretty intimate crowd in terms of the actual human bodies present in this space. But normally, if it's a small crowd like this, I'm able to at least kind of look people in the eye and get a sense of them as they filter in and out. But I was hiding backstage before this. I can't really see you. It's just sort of blurred outlines and shapes. And so when you come up on stage, it's a real surprise. It's these figures emerging from darkness to materialize into an actual form in front of me. And so far it's been strangers, so it's extra strange. It's a ghost of someone I've never met who appears and then disappears back into darkness. I'm not, now that I've labeled you all as some kind of spectral spirits, would anyone else like to enter my dimension? Hello. Okay, so you are really young, and you look familiar, but that's also because you have like a very Semitic face. So it could just be that you look like people I know. But yeah, like you are probably from Toronto. You don't have to be, like you really are like you're like a contemporary Semitic person. You've got your Birkenstocks on and jeans. Probably went to summer camp of some kind. Maybe not, but yeah, summer camp. It's so funny. With like, especially like a guy your age with this haircut, that's really kind of like you really look like now I get to talk about something political. It's not political at all, actually. It's really like, it's so sad how not political this is. But you also could like very easily be just like some like a Palestinian or like Arab person, like it's just a Semitic person sitting in front of me. And with very minor modifications to the costume, you could be a settler somewhere, or you could be like somebody who's like living in a refugee camp, like with very, very minimal modifications to your dress and manner being. The Birkenstocks lean more Jewish, though, I gotta say. Although here in Toronto, it also like doesn't really matter. Like it could actually be the same thing. But yeah, maybe I'll just like dwell on the Birkenstocks more. I think it is a cliche to dwell on a man's footwear, but that's you're wearing shoes. They seem to be in pretty good condition for Birkenstocks, so they're not that ancient. Like your feet are a little gross, but you're also like, it's not like you're like you just got back from 4 days of tripping. Like you're here in the city. You didn't just get back from summer camp. Yeah, where do we go with that? So yeah, you're interested in theater. Maybe you're going to one of the performing arts high schools in the city, or just graduated from one. If I had to, if I had to guess, like it would be more likely Claude Watson than ESA, but it could be ESA too. Like ESAs are also equally likely choice. Maybe you're from like St. Clair and Oakwood kind of area. Maybe not. It could be from somewhere else in the city. Yonge and Lawrence. yeah, I guess it kind of depends on like who your parents are and what they do, where you'd be from in the city, and you have a lot less choice over that. Like the rest of us, nobody has choice over their family unless you abandon them at some point and choose another. That has nothing to do with you, though. Yeah, what else? I mean, like, the thing about pretty much anybody who sits in this chair, and I could say this to anyone, is that, like, you have a pretty good sense of self to be here. Like, I don't think you're necessarily in that chair for, like, a truth about you to be revealed. But if I had to guess, you probably are a bit more like sort of like a performer, and this is like an interesting participatory artwork that you can partake of and kind of be like, oh, cool, you know, I did that. This is what this woman does. I think is that it? That might be it. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, I know you.
True.
Okay, so
true.
This is the first person I know that's come on stage.
I have a request.
I will allow you to make the request, but I cannot promise to honor it.
It's a meta sort of thing. I request you to lay it on me.
Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I can do that. We can go there. As my brother once said to me, words are like stones that once hurled cannot be recalled. So with that, this is a person I will to speak to again. You're an American, and you kind of like seamlessly are here. You have affinity for Canada and probably for like the socially progressive things that represented in your youth that totally don't apply anymore, that are actually like not part of the general Canadian psyche, and that really sort of only exist within the context of an urban center in this country, this urban center in this country, and a few of the others, with variations. Yeah, I think you're really, even though if asked to like debrief us on your values, which I'm not asking you to do. I'm just going to tell you what I think your values are. Even if asked to debrief us on your values, they'd probably be really similar to the former traveler kid who came up first. But the choices you've made in life, you have some piercings, those can come out any time. You'd have to get really close to you. From here I can see these holes, but I'm looking for them because I can see this. I can't see this decoration because of the way you're facing me. But yeah, you have a few there. But if you got rid of them today and like gave yourself a haircut and changed your outfit with very minor modifications, you really could just be like so super like fitting many kinds of norms. I think that's the thing about not having really intense body modifications. That like these are body modifications, but they're not that extreme. From a distance, you could, in this society, you could blend in very well. That doesn't mean that you don't have values, that you don't live your values. I do think that you really are trying to live your values, and you have an ethos of like collective work and mutual aid and all these things that sound very nice. At the same time, I'm actually mystified by your it's not reporting either. Your media project to me is, and this is now I'm talking about me, I'm not talking about you. It's really hard for me to get into because to sit and read a PDF, people will send me interesting PDFs and I'm just like, I can't do it. Print matter, it's different. I still have things that are sitting around that I've never opened, that I've paid money for, let alone things that were given to me. But it's there, and there's frequently a moment when I can be like, oh, like nothing's working, but I can just take this as a blackout. I can read this, or like, oh, I'm going to go lie under a tree, and I've got this. But because it's digital, it's not the same. Like I had the tab open for a while. And then eventually the tab just got closed because there were too many other tabs open. Yeah, I think also like the design is not so, it's not so visually scrumptious that I'm just going to scroll through to look at the pictures, right? Now I'm just making now you're just getting a free crit, is what you're getting. But yeah, it's not so visually scrumptious that I'm just like, oh, look at this. Like, because that's also, obviously you want people to read the content. That's really important to you and your partners in this, is to actually read what you've written. But it's this, between the form and the presentation, the form being a PDF and the presentation being how you lay out the PDF, it's not grabbing me. I don't know, I think you'd be better served by a website, honestly. Because it's the thing about these ephemeral things that are on the internet as opposed to these ephemeral things that are printed on paper, is that they're not, I don't know, like with a person you can ignore them, but you've got to kind of like look at the eye and or not look at them in the eye. Just be like, I'm going to not look you in the eye. Or you have to make that choice. And with an object or a digital, yeah, they're called objects when you're programming things in there. The elements of it are, at least. With a physical or digital publication, it's, you can go back to it at some point, but you still need the technology to somehow mediate you in there when it's, mediate, is that the right word? I apologize for even using that at this point. With that, if it's on the internet, really, like the only reason to read something on the internet is you have no other way to read it, or it's a better way to read it. And I think that that's like a huge gap in your thinking as a designer, because you have self-described as a designer. That, yeah, a PDF is like best used as a preview version for something that will eventually be printed, but as something to like, for more than one page, as something to give to somebody that like this exists as a PDF, it's kind of, you know, for me at least. I think there's other people who are fine with it, but those people tend to be thinking towards print as an ultimate thing. And print and digital are two different things, and I think that you haven't really dealt with that in like your conceptualizing of the magazine, right? And it's not like you need to solve that today. Like there's literally hundreds of university departments devoted to solving that problem right now, and like this is the problem that is causing newspapers to go out of business and like magazines to go out of business, and for, you know, storied publications to all of a sudden becoming charities and that sort of thing. But that's, I think, like, I don't know, I think that you aren't giving enough consideration to like how anachronistic a form it is, that kind of gulf. Like a PDF is like a compromise between print and digital. It's not actually it's a compromise. It's like it's something on its own, unless like the PDF is interactive, which it doesn't seem to be really. For me, I don't know how you feel. My heart is beating. I feel that I am really laying it on you. I'm going to have to talk to you in the future. And like, fuck, I told him exactly what I thought of his magazine. For full disclosure, Zach did a very nice interview with me on this project, and it was really chill, and it was very thoughtful. The form that you delivered the interview in terms of like the text, like how you conceived of the text, was actually very thoughtful and very interesting. It's the larger form of the magazine it's within that I think is kind of not honoring the work you're doing more as a writer and reporter. Like, I don't know, I think you might be better served by like finding some other people to work with who are like real like visual savants or something with that kind of thing. Because like your text is just like as text on a page, like a Word document printed out in like 10-point Arial or 11-point Arial is great, you know. That's actually I was like, oh wow, that's cool. That's a cool way you handled that, because it's very difficult to work with interviews. It is. It's very difficult to work with interviews and do it in a way where you feel like you're treating the subject with respect, but also like treating your own ideas of what the subject's doing with respect as well, right? Because it's not just about being like, whatever I want, like it's, yeah. That was actually harder than I thought it would be. It's much harder to do this with people I know and anticipate I'm going to have to speak to again in the future. So to summarize, this will be like, this is now I'm throwing the audience a bone, and you too, because this is where it will maybe this is harsh. I don't know. I think people want blood, and I don't really deliver blood. But to summarize, I think that you're putting too much emphasis on trying to do all aspects of production when like your real strengths are in the writing, and that maybe you should be working with somebody else on some of the visuals. I'm really talking about me right now, by the way. Like this one really, I'm just like, oh yeah, I've been really worried and insecure about those things myself for a long time. Anyway, but I learned a term recently because I'm working with dancers more and actually starting to go to dance shows, and it's called an outside eye. And an outside eye is really helpful because an outside eye looks at what you're doing and is like, oh, yeah, this like really, really, really looks exactly like this really one specific thing. That very often the person who's the inside eye is like, huh? And had no idea. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you. Hi. You look so much like a younger, skinnier version of that comedian he was on Mr. Show, and he was on the Sarah Silverman Show, and he was on, I think, he might be one of Tim and Eric, I think. But you also are less of a redhead than him. I'm pretty sure I don't know you at all. So it's really like, I'm dealing with somebody who looks like this particular type. But because that guy, his whole thing is he's like huge. He's huge, and he plays a lot of kind of like soft-spoken, blank, huge guys who are balding. And you're also not balding. So it's really weird. It's like this that looks like him. The beard also, too, right? But you're quite young. Maybe you're my age, but you seem to be aging slowly. You have sad eyes, too. I don't know why I laughed. I laughed because the clown is always crying inside. Your shoes are really nice, and they probably cost money when you bought them, but they're getting old and busted. But I suspect you'll be able to buy yourself new ones when you need to. Yeah, you seem like somebody who's, I don't know, probably doing a master's or a post-grad of some kind. It's the glasses. They're sort of the glasses, beard, and it's this. See, the way I read your costume it's when the clothes are kind of like, yeah, when you really go to that basic of like, I'm wearing like, it's like a symbol of an outfit. It's jeans and a t-shirt and leather boots. And 100 years ago, this was a working man's outfit. Like during the Dust Bowl, this is what farmers wore as they were traversing across. If they had nothing, like if they had nothing, this is what they were. If they had some sense of self-respect, they scraped together their last like bit of money that they could save as long as everybody, wasn't starving to death, and they bought themselves a button-up shirt. But now this is it's a uniform that like the scholarly class can wear. Yeah, it's skinny jeans and a t-shirt. Even though I don't know. I guess work jeans tended to have more room. I think they had a lot less wiggle room for custom fits and things like that. But you're a skinny guy, and so the skinny jeans were kind of, otherwise that you'd be swimming in them maybe. I'm sorry, it's true. Yeah, and that's also not like, you're co-opting the working man's outfit. Like, no, that's just like what people wear, and it is somewhat nondescript, right? But you definitely don't look working class by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, who knows? Maybe you are. Maybe that's what you do for your job. You could be a roofer. I don't know, but like you're here. Which is I think I know my audience a little bit. Maybe not that. It's impossible to know anyone, right? Because as I'm saying all these things, and you're really good at also not saying anything and just letting this wash over you. You're really good at this. So it also kind of sends me into like a thing of like, oh no, I have to come up with more stuff because like there's no like yeah, and there's also like I think you understand that I really am just talking about whatever's in my head. Some people really feel the need to be like, no! And like, no, you're not. Like, I could say anything and you'd just be like, But that's cool. Like, you know who you are. Or not. Funny. Because even though it's like, oh, it's a timeless outfit. It's a white T-shirt and jeans and some leather boots, and it's a man with glasses and a beard and long hair. You could probably be dumped into like any time 100 years in the past or 100 years in the future, and not seem so out of place. But I mean, in this place, 100 years in the past or 100 years in the future, not anywhere in the world. But at the same time, also, what you're wearing is so contemporary, too. And I think that has more to do with the cut of the jeans, the cut of the T-shirt. But the past is another country. Their ways there are strange. But I'm sure you have some kind of romantic notions about the past also. And that is something that maybe like you live with sometimes, thinking like whatever your intellectual life happens to be. I'm sure that there's some kind of point in history that is maybe you might be over the like romanticizing of it, but I'm sure you're not over the fascination of like how things were then and how that's changed today. I'm really projecting onto you, like really projecting right now. Oh, okay. I think it's time to throw a little extra layer into the game. Is there anything specific you would like me to speak to? Okay, cool. Thank you very much. His skinny jeans also didn't fit him, so they were riding really low, and that's another. I would just also say now you're not on stage anymore if we're talking about this, but that's also a really that really takes it into the like contemporary realm, because that would not fly any further back in the past than maybe 15 years ago. In the future, who knows? Maybe in the future, like people will go to their graduation from their bachelor degree, and everybody will be going up with their pants hanging around somewhere around here. It will be like a classic look. But it could be skinny jeans, but who knows? Maybe we'll go back to that old-fashioned, huge baggy jeans that men wear to here. Anyway, I think that would be if I make it to that time, and I manage to see that happen in my lifetime, I will just chuckle and smile every time I see it. Who's next? Oh, hi. Hi. Okay, I think I know you, and I don't think we've ever actually met in person. It's possible, but I don't think we've ever actually met. You exist to me as kind of like an avatar, literally an avatar, and an online presence, even though, I do understand that you are somebody who seems to actually be more invested in like the real world and real people than in the avatar. But that is also such a contradictory thing for me to say, because I only know you as an avatar, literally as somebody who's like on some kind of internet-based thing, or through internet-based communications, including third parties. So it's very funny to have especially in this like very deeply artificial way, to have an interaction with you in the meat space, which is really intense. It's also really funny for me because I haven't read much of your work, which is weird. I've read some short pieces. I think it was based on the I Ching. I read that one, which I remember reading that and being like, oh, this is really nice. And I was kind of like, oh, cool. I think my not reading a lot of your stuff has more to do with, I think, that kind of fear of like reading something by somebody who's coming from really close to your world. Like kind of like a little thing of like, oh, I've never watched Girls, for example. It's like, it's close but off a little bit to the side. Because from what I understand of you, I think you're also somebody who's like really coming from like a very middle class Toronto Jewish background, which is like sort of where I'm coming from, but also like really outside of that as well. So that really has more to do maybe even with my like insecurities from childhood, which I mean that's so many people's problems really, coming to grips with like, oh, I'm really just afraid of like the life I had when I was 7. But I was on Instagram for a few months, and you are like a power user of that. And I recall seeing a photo of you being your child actor headshots. I think that was you. And that was a moment where I was like, oh, that's so funny. I was like, that makes so much sense. I also was a child actor, although I never had headshots made. But to see the headshots, I was like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. So I think maybe that's also part of the like, I'm sure you've had this with people in your life as well, where we all do, really, where it's somebody who's like, oh, we actually have a lot in common, but it's when there's no natural way to kind of be like, oh, hey, like, I don't really like see you around or anything, except on the internet, which is a very artificial place to live. Like we can, on the internet, especially with Web 2.0, we have conversations with people that aren't actually, it's kind of like what I'm doing right now, where like I'm just putting a whole stream of stuff out there, and you can process and observe it, and you don't have to respond at all. It's just kind of there. And whereas in real life, things are a bit more, because real life happens, or like meat space is the better way to use it. It happens on this plane that's much more kind of like, oh, we shop at the same store, or we live in the same building, or we go to the same school, or we work at the same office. So the way people get to know each other there is on a much less staged level. Whereas in Web 2.0, we perform ourselves, which you are very, I think you're very aware of that, because you're also an artist, right? You're somebody who works to create things that are meant, they're coming from you and from something inside of you, but you also, as an artist, you understand that they're being made to show people. You're not under an illusion that you just like, I need to create and it's just going to come out of me, even if it lives in a shoebox. Like, you're somebody who's making things to be like, yeah, I will show these to people. This is what an artist does. Like, it doesn't, I mean, also, like, this isn't you, but there are people who, like, make things to stick in a shoebox, and they are also artists, but that's, those are people who are maybe not so high-functioning in a social, like a normal social sphere. And you seem very high-functioning in a normal social sphere. Yeah. It's really funny. For me, it's such an awkward and weird situation to be like, oh, like I know you, but I don't at all. It's almost sort of like, standing next to like Diane Keaton in line at the bookstore or something, right? Like at first, it's kind of like, oh, this is a familiar lady. Maybe it's like one of my mom's friends or something, and it's like, no, this is not one of my mom's friends. But I've already gotten to the point where I'm like I recognize you, and it's like, no, I don't. I do, but it's not somebody that you like had Christmas with at some point. Although, like, it is it's really only in the past year through like because I was very social media removed for a few years. I just kind of had to stop it. And through that, I've kind of been like, oh, this is somebody who we very easily could have had not Christmas, but something along those lines at some point, or there's, because we're both from the same city and it's a very similar lifestyle, which is also funny that the city can any city, any community can feel so small, and then you realize that it's actually people are living very similar, parallel lives all over, everywhere in it, which is actually terrifying to think. As somebody who would like to know what's happening at all times and be completely aware of it, to realize that the view we have in our own lives is this narrow. Even if we go from this and we broaden it to this is actually just this much of a spectrum that's going all around the world, bigger than the circumference of the Earth. And yeah, it's also, I'm almost finished, but you're bearing this really well, but it's it also is getting uncomfortable. Which probably has a lot to do with also that you're standing on stage under lights in a dark room where you can't see anybody and there's no microphone and I'm just making a monologue literally directed at you. But it's, yeah, whereas the guy before you was really good at keeping a very cool, he was very good at just being really cool and detached from it, and your detachment is totally you're losing your detachment, which is also really normal too, right? Just to be clear, I haven't said this at any point yet. I would never sit in that chair ever in a million years. That's a lie. I did it once, and I think I had a panic attack. Is it a panic attack when you hear sirens in your ears and you get tunnel vision? Because that's what happened to me. So it's also very brave of you to do this. I would never, oh God. Just the thought of it is making me freak out. And I don't have panic attacks. But I guess that's what that was something. I don't know what that was. So it's pretty brave of you. Yeah, you seem pretty cool. You seem like a pretty cool lady, right? I think that's sort of because I have material to work on with you. It's so interesting. When Zach came up, I know him, but I don't we've met and talked before, and I'll see him again, but I don't. And with you, I have I saw you on Instagram for a few months, and we have friends in common, and I've read some things you've written. So I feel also you're probably inhabiting this weird purgatory of celebrity, where it's you actually for the most part have a pretty normal life, but there's way more people who know who you are than you can manage to know. So that seems also a funny way to live, because on your day-to-day you're a normal person who's doing normal stuff and is fucking up often and whatever, what adults do, but then there's probably also this level where there's people who think they know you and who don't at all, and maybe will only run into you in these really rare, brief, fleeting moments of crossing that happen in the modern world and on the internet. It's weird. That's just as a place to imagine living in. It's yeah, that's weird. Not that you can change it. I mean, it's something you probably also thought about a lot as a child actor, as something that's desirable, and then you seem to have a very good sense of self-awareness. And I think irony, I'm probably not using irony in the right sense, but maybe it is irony that understanding also oh, funny, when I was a kid I really wanted this life, and now that I have it, it's not that exceptional, or it's not rainbows, it's just kind of really normal and not even everything I want it to be at this point. Just life that's the difference between, what is it, that famous kind of it's a bad wish to give the genie to but this is also my childhood, my childhood dream was to have a talk show. It's a bad wish it's true. I hosted a talk show alone regularly. It's a bad wish to give the genie. I want to be famous is a bad wish, and never make that wish. You can wish a lot of things. I want to I want to host a talk show. It's a great wish. I want to be famous is a bad wish. Okay. I think that's it. Thank you. Thank you. We have 10 minutes left. I think you will be the last person up on stage today. So you were at the picnic talk we had on Sunday, and there was 3 people left standing who weren't officially invited to participate. And at the end, I asked everybody why they had stayed, and you were the only person who didn't say. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So, excuse me, I burped on camera. So you instantly had this like aura of mystery that may also just have more to do with your being like, oh, I don't have anything to say. Like, it could just be that you're also just like, I just have nothing to say. But because that's somebody like me, I'm like, oh, I have nothing to say. I guess I'll just like find some things to say for the next 10 minutes. Your default is probably, oh, I've got nothing to say. I'm just not going to say it, which is a really good way to preserve your dignity, as well as maintaining a sense of mystery, which is also good. But what do? You're friends with Jordan, so you're talking afterwards. And so I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, did he come because he's heard of me and thinks I'm amazing? And then I'm like, oh, no, he came because he's friends with Jordan. I was like, oh, okay. So you are involved in theater somehow, maybe an actor. Yeah, your eyebrows went up. You're an actor of some kind. And now you're saying no, but you give a good performance, definitely. Yeah, gee, what else? Oh, yeah, I remember being like, oh, he's handsome. That's also what I thought. I was like, he's handsome. But it's also kind of like in a bit of just like that came very detached, because you're a stranger also. But it's also really easy to continue being a handsome person when you don't say too much. Which is a trick I should learn. I haven't learned yet. So what else? I'm going to take a sip of water while I think. Because that's the other thing. Your default expression is really intense also. Like, you have a very intense default expression. Another person with sad eyes. Sad eyes. Another person with sad eyes. And you're smiling now. Even the smile has sad eyes. You can't help that. That's just the default sort of blank expression you have on your face. But that probably also, like, that sad eyes is a very intense, not like cult leader intense, but just kind of like sad eyes. That kind of thing where people are like, oh, sad eyes. So that also is a very heart-melting kind of way to just have as your default. And combined with the, like, not talking too much. It's very, I think, is that puppy dog? That's puppy dog. It's called a puppy dog look. So long story short, you probably, since childhood, have been like really popular with people who have like longing types of crushes, because that's what sad eyes do, especially on a boy. What else can I say about that? Maybe, okay, we'll switch it around again and throw this one in there, because I'm running out of things to say. Is there anything specific you want me to speak to?
I want to know how I make you feel.
How do you make me feel? I think with the sad eyes, there's like a little bit of like wanting to like take care of you, but for me, it's not in the like, let me like cook you soup and, you know, like fix your life, but more just kind of like, oh, like, do you need anything? Can I make you feel okay right now? Yeah, that's like that's a problem I have. I think a lot of people have in life. Because you actually probably don't need any help at all. And you can't really help it that you've got these sort of like heavy-lidded sad eyes. I'm not doing it right. It's more like, I can't do it right. I can't do it. I can't do the face. That's kind of it, yeah. Yeah, like now you're smiling. When you're with your friends and joking, like I'm sure it goes away, but that's something I've heard, that on certain actors, especially for film, that whatever their default expression is, that they just go to without thinking about it. If they have like a really harsh one, they make a great, like, intense, like, anti-hero character, like sad eyes will always be really good, kind of like what's the word, like a James Dean has sad eyes, right? What else? Like some people just have like a really, like they just kind of fall into this like smiley, and then everybody just thinks they're dumb because they're always like, but yeah, you have, because of the sad eyes, it's like, oh, like, is there anything I can do to make you feel better? Probably not. You feel fine. I think that's all. Thank you. I'm gonna, Maya, how are we doing for time? 2 minutes left. I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to all of you who showed up live and in person, to this really weird thing that you've indulged me with. It really is a wonderful chance for me to explore the inner recesses of my mind, and I hope you got something out of it, at the very least, that you were entertained. That's probably all any of us can hope for, to get out of something like this. Thank you very much.